So, next topic, I want to talk about Joker Folie, Deux, because they've released an image. It's a few days old, but I hadn't had a chance to really talk about it or cover it. And I sort of dive into the image today. And there was just so much to sort of unpack there. But I think first and foremost, you're like, Paulie, what was your opinion on Joker? Did you like the film? Did you not like the film?
Yeah, I loved it. You know, it's when I say
Mm,
I loved it. I loved its filmmaking when its themes. It's not a film would go and rewatch all the time though.
mm,
I don't
yeah.
know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Um,
You can appreciate
okay,
it, but it's not a rewatcher. Yeah.
right. I mean, I'll probably I would love to rewatch it at this point. It's been a few a couple years now,
Yeah.
but it's a very different film. Uh, and I would not rewatch Logan, even though I appreciated some of it.
Mm,
I don't know if
yeah,
that
that
makes
makes
yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Tom, what about yourself? Oh, he's disappeared. He's gone.
Sorry, what was that?
What did you think about Joker?
I went into it thinking I was gonna hate it, and I didn't hate
Mm,
it. It had a few issues, but other
okay.
than that, I ended up liking it more than I did, considering it kind of reminded me of when a cartoon show would basically do homage to some movie, you
Yeah,
know.
I can see that. Fair
So it's basically
justification.
like Joker doing a take on Taxi Driver and King of Comedy kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
okay.
I'm actually more interested in the sequel than I thought I would be, simply because of I'm intrigued by this idea of Lady Gaga playing
Hmm.
Harley Quinn, and the movie potentially, from what I heard, basically being about her descent into madness, and that's where the musical aspect comes in. So
And
it'll be
also the
kind of a
title, Madness
yeah,
for
yeah,
Two.
yeah. Yeah, and it'll be like a love
Yeah.
affair between the two, and her falling in love with him,
Hmm.
simultaneously going crazy. So I think it'd
Yeah.
be interesting, especially considering I liked the take on the first movie, like how it was shot and done and the whole Taxi
Yep.
Driver feel to it. So I'm curious to see how they emulate, like, maybe late 70s musicals or whatever they'll be trying to emulate with this film here, and the gritty
Mm.
griminess of the world that we see from the
Tom, did
previous
you
film. So yeah.
Tom, did you see Lady Gaga in Stars Born?
No, I didn't, but considering she got the praise she did for that, I'm willing to give her a shot in this, and she's at
Yeah.
least from about the same area that Harley's supposed to be from, so I mean, the
Yeah.
accent I'm not too worried about.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. Nick, what did you think of Joker?
So I literally had zero expectations going into that movie, and I enjoyed it. I liked the different take on Joker that they portrayed in the movie, and I
Mm.
also thought it was a lot darker than I thought it would
Mm.
be. Like after I got done watching it, like I felt like I needed to like go cleanse my movie palette with like cartoons or something, like something
Yeah.
a little bit more lighthearted. So it was very dark, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I've seen it two or three times at this point.
Mm.
But like Paulie was saying, it's not it doesn't have a whole lot of rewatchability for me. The other two times I watched it, I was watching it with other people that hadn't seen it, and
Right.
I was like, you guys definitely need to watch it. So I ended up watching it
Mm.
with them. But yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm not a Lady Gaga fan at all. I did like her in A Star Is Born. I saw that. I thought it was a
Mm.
really good movie, and it had a very downer ending twist to it. I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't seen it, but I liked it. I'm not a fan of hers, but I hope she pulls it off. I hope the
Mm.
sequel turns out to be good.
Well, first image has been revealed. And I think there's
Let's
a
see
lot
it.
to go into here. So
Oh
this
yeah,
is just this is just a
that's
zoomed in shot, right?
that's new.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. This was shared recently, is it like 2 days ago by Todd Phillips. So
Oh my
this is
gosh.
obviously sharing this over on um, Instagram. Day one, our boy Joker. Now, there's a few things to sort of dive into. One is that it's great to see Joaquin Phoenix really commit to the role, right? Like he fluctuates so wildly with his weight, but this is good. Like this is what you want for an actor that's really committed to a role. I don't want to hear now like we get from like Bryce Dallas Howard talking about, oh well, they asked the casting agent what my weight would be for Jurassic World. Yeah, it's important, love. Right? People want to, like, you need to fit the character. If the character is going to be doing certain things, your weight needs to indicate that you can do those things. It's just the way of the world, right? Your weight your physicality, your aesthetics embodies a character. And Arthur Fleck being this sort of weird, emaciated dude, way more unnerving than if he was a fat guy, right? Like it's important, because it's characteristics, it's traits of the madness coming through. So this shot's beautiful, right? Obviously, he's to me, right? I look at this shot and there's a lot to unpack. One, emaciated as hell. He's clearly just a broken man at this point. We see him on that high at the end of Joker, and now he's in Arkham Asylum. And he's just being shaven, right? Like he's just being shaven. He's this sort of broken man. The composition of the shot, beautiful, right? You've got the nice sort of film grain coming through there in the background. Probably doesn't come through massively on stream. But go look at Todd Phillips's own Instagram. You can see it, the sort of film grain coming through, the bokeh. The range on this lens, it's a really nice lens. You can see it. It's a really well composed shot. And then for the physicality aspect, we come down here and he's almost got these sort of like pock marks. And I'd have to go back and look at Joaquin Phoenix and other things. If this is him or this is him as this character, this sort of pock marking on his arms, that of which, like an addict would have, like a smackhead, a heroin addict. It's that sort of, where they sort of go cold turkey and start sort of gnawing at themselves, but also a sign of, trying to be PC about it, but issues, where you sort of attack yourself. But that was my sort of initial thinking of this whole thing, just from the image. And I know, Tom, you need to go soon. So let's get your thoughts first and foremost.
I'm glad he's back. I mean, this image doesn't really give me much to go on. I mean,
come on, dive into it. Look at it. Iconography. Look at the framing.
You pretty much said everything that anybody who could, analyze it could say at this point. I mean, he's clearly in Arkham Asylum, probably. It's probably early on in the film. I mean, is this supposed to be his first day of shooting? Is that what?
It is day one, yeah.
Todd Phillips is okay. So there.
Well, it says day one, yeah. Day one, our boy Joker.
I can't wait to see what Harley looks like. I can't wait to see what they both look like in full regalia, more so. So yeah.
Yeah. Nick, any sort of additional thoughts on all of this?
I agree. He kind of looks like a strung out crackhead or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely got to admire him as a actor. Getting his weight and getting that skinny for this role. I mean, he's definitely committed to the part for sure, which I can appreciate. So. And his performance in the first one was great, and I'm not really expecting anything less in the second one.
Yeah, I think so. From sort of my side of things. Additionally, when we're talking about Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, a lot of people rag on this film when it was announced that there would be musical elements in it, but I often think that those people are sort of overlooking just how important a part music had to play in the first one, from the sort of strung out dancing scenes, the dancing down the stairs scene, to the bathroom scene, the sending the clown scene. Like music was actually a really big part of the first film, and so it makes sense to build on that element and have that sort of madness come through in another musical element through someone else's point of view, be it Lady Gaga's, because it's a different type of madness. So if you're using this sort of musical element to depict like a euphoric madness, which we saw in the first one with Arthur Fleck, especially in the toilet, the sort of logical sidestep from that would be to have a different musical manifestation of the madness in another character, which I think I'm quite looking forward to that. I think that's going to be quite fun, as long as they can keep it creepy.
Yeah, I was one of those people that was concerned on the musical aspect of it. But I think when most people think musical, they're thinking The Showman, Mary Poppins,
It's not really that.
the classical musical. I think this is going to be like when they say this is going to have a musical aspect to it, like a musical. I think it's going to be a very different take than the norm, musicals that people
Well, from
know
what I'm
from the
gathering, it's going to
past.
be all in like Harley's head.
Yeah, it was from her point of view, the musical.
Yeah,
That's
from
what
what
I heard. Yeah.
what I'm gathering. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if like they set her character up like she's like really into like musicals and stuff like that. So that'll play into why, when she starts this dissension into madness, she creates this world of musicals in her head, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that'll kind of maybe show us a little bit more. Like a lot of people were wondering out the first movie is like, is it real or is it all in his head? And we kind of saw that some of it was in his head. So we'll kind of see. I think that's where this movie is going to go too. Is like we'll have to ask ourselves at certain points. Is like, okay, is this really happening or is this in one of their heads? Now we got two characters to worry about.
Yeah, when I watch this, I'm literally going to be trying to see if I can pick out what the twist is going to be in this movie, because there's going to be one. They had one in the first one, and I guarantee you they're setting up another weird, strange twist in this one. So I'm definitely going to be looking for it.
Well, I mean, I mean, the title alone, Folie à Deux, Madness for Two. That alone, it opens up a very interesting premise for the sort of dissension into madness. And are we viewing it through one person's lens? Is the madness? Is it only Arthur Fleck? Is he literally imagining someone else going insane with him, just like he was imagining the dates and things and all that going well? And like that, I don't think they'll do that again. I think that'd be silly, but to sort of retread that. But what if it's the sort of the opposite to that, and you have Harley Quinn going mad and sort of I guess sort of idealizing Arthur Fleck.
Bad romance, gaga, rah rah rah.
Copyright strike for that amazing rendition, Tom.
I just saw Catherine Kenner is going to be in this film too. The girl who was the wife for the 40-year-old virgin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's like a doctor or something like that.
Yeah, she's in this movie. Yeah, I actually just watched 40-Year-Old Virgin again this last weekend with somebody that had never seen it.
Wow.
That's Phillips's wife.
Is it really?
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't even
that makes
know.
sense then.
Yeah.
Well, you got Brendan Gleeson in there as well. He's joined the cast.
And on the note of the unreliable narrator, that Joker is one of the best examples of that, as far as I'm concerned. So if they play that role again, I'm not going to be too hurt. Because usually those kind of movies drive me nuts.
Yeah, I think I think there's a lot of people that really, because so many people were against this film when it was announced with Joaquin Phoenix as well. And then absolutely just smashed it. Like that, it's one of the only films I watched that year twice in theaters. Like I very rarely go to watch a film twice in theaters, just because it's so it takes a long time and it's so expensive. And can I really be bothered? Is it worth it? But I really enjoyed that film. Like enjoyed it is kind of the wrong word. I didn't enjoy it like, oh, I'm enjoying this film. Like it's an experience, it was a good film to sort of immerse yourself in, and there's a lot going on, so much so that I enjoyed that element of the experience, if that makes any sense. So I'm excited to see what this one comes together with.
And we don't know what the time frame is in this,
No.
or any of the plot, like where it takes place after the first one or anything, do we? I don't think they've
No.
released any of that, have they?
No, they've not released anything. And the thing is that it's literally, he's in Arkham Asylum. That's it. That's all we know. The other interesting element to take into account is that this is the only DC movie to receive the green light under David Zaslav. That's it.
Well, after the money that the first one made, I mean, I'm not really surprised.
No, of course not. But that's
Yeah.
a good sign in and unto itself, right?
Yeah,
You know, David
definitely.
Zaslav coming in, going, well, that made money. Have you got a good script? Let me read the script. Yeah, cool, go. But this was greenlit pre-James Gunn, Peter Safran. I'm sure this supersedes any of that involvement as well. Because I know
Yeah.
Todd Phillips had some rumors to be taking the James Gunn role. I would imagine David Zaslav just says, go do your thing. Go do your thing. And it's sort of separate to the DC Studios thing. Obviously still under it, but
Well, and
different.
this is why it draws me to wonder, and why I've asked a lot of questions of my sources about the whole Batman thing, and most I can get out of it is it's kind of up in the air. Not
Yeah.
like it's not happening, but like many have agreed when I've pointed out, the Joker 2 got greenlit right away. I heard from my sources that day one, when Zaslav walks in the door, he wants to see or hear treatment for Joker 2. And almost immediately that same week, we heard that Joker 2 got greenlit. I can't remember if it was that same week or within a matter of a couple of days, actually. So it was like right there. Yeah, I was like, boom. Okay, well, there goes exactly what I had heard on that part. Now the Batman, what I heard on that was, I want to hear a treatment for Batman 2, but it has to be shorter. You got to work on the chemistry between Catwoman and Batman, and it can't be as fucking dark. That was the three stipulations. But at that time, Batman was still technically in theaters, getting out of theaters in that rough area. So they were still waiting to see where it landed. And then that's where I was told the whole situation about how it sent mixed signals to the brass, because it didn't quite make the money they were hoping it would make. Was it a failure? No. But it was expected to make $1 billion. That's the difference. It was expected, as opposed to something like Black Adam, which, to their expectations, did actually go above some of them. It was the Rock's biggest solo opening ever. In some cases, some people are arguing it will maybe actually make some money. It makes me question how much was actually spent on the money in the first place. So in this case, it's a little bit different situation as opposed to the Batman, where, I mean, we heard that the cost of that may have exceeded the $200 million that they say they spent on it. So,
well, we know that was the initial reports of budget. That was pre-COVID. COVID then happened. The reshoots happened. The general industry standard during COVID was it would add an additional 25% to the budget. That was the general rule of thumb.
But going off our conversation earlier about Avatar, one thing that hurt it in the box office potentially was its running time. So that was one of the only reasons they were kind of keeping it in the running. And I had heard consistently since then, the Penguin will decide whether or not, they get a Batman 2. And when the story come out with Matt Reeves saying, oh, we'll be lucky if we don't get a Batman 2 by 2025, that tells me Zaslav's in no fucking hurry.
Well,
so
it also going back to Joker 2, I mean, it just goes to show just how much of a businessman he is, looking
that's
at
what I'm saying.
going, yep, 100%, this is great. Let's give it the green light. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this film. First and smashed it. First ever R-rated movie to gross over $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking amazing. That's a pretty big deal. So it's been a lot of R-rated movies, for goodness sake.
Another reason why they expected the Batman to make $1 billion right there. If his own villain makes more money than the main character, there's something wrong there.
And then 12 Oscar nominations. 12.
Yeah, it was only what was it, Tom? 70 million budget or something like that.
60.
It wasn't even that much. I was going to say it was a little less than that.
Yeah, I thought it was a $60 million budget. I mean,
I'd be surprised if they spent that much.
Yeah, it took home more profit than Endgame. Because everyone says Endgame's the highest grossing. Yeah, but not profit-wise, not actual profit. Joker actually made more money for the studio than Endgame did.
Oh, it's definitely in the top ring of most profitable films of all time.
So I
Mm.
got
Percentile
here.
wise or percentage wise, yeah.
It was a budget of
Yeah.
between 55 and 70 million, and it made 1.074 billion.
Yeah, absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely smashed it.